Disney's The Little Mermaid, Ariel's true love. From deep underwater, a mermaid named Ariel noticed a ship sailing by above. Her father, King Triton, had warned her many times not to go to the ocean's surface. He thought humans were dangerous, but Ariel was fascinated by them. She even had a secret grotto where she kept a collection of human-made treasures, such as candlesticks and pitchers. Sebastian, a crab who was the king's advisor, noticed the mermaid swimming to the surface. He called to her, but she ignored him. She wanted to know what was happening on the ship. At the surface, she saw a man being presented with a statue. The other sailors called him Prince Eric. Ariel sighed. The prince was incredibly handsome, and the statue looked just like him. Suddenly, the clouds in front of the moon thickened. A strong wind blew across the ocean, and lightning crackled in the sky. "Hurricane a-comin'," a sailor shouted. Waves washed over the deck, and the ship was tossed on the sea. Lightning struck the main mast and sent it crashing to the deck in flames. Soon the whole ship was on fire. Then it exploded, and Prince Eric was thrown overboard. Ariel swam towards the wreck. She had to find the prince and save him. She spotted him floating on a plank of wood. Just then he slipped off the board and sank beneath the waves. Ariel dived after him and used all her strength to pull him to the surface. Before long, the sky cleared and Ariel dragged the prince onto the beach. She watched over him, concerned. "He's so beautiful," she whispered. Then she began to sing to him. Eric's eyes opened and caught a sight of Ariel, but a second later she was gone. She had returned to the ocean so he wouldn't find out she was a mermaid. Later, the prince made his way back to the palace. "A girl rescued me," he told his friend Grimsby. "She was singing. She had the most beautiful voice." Meanwhile, beneath the waves, Ariel was thinking about Eric, too. She daydreamed and planned ways to see him again. The little mermaid was in love. Flounder, a blue and yellow fish who was Ariel's best friend, led her to the grotto to show her a surprise. It was the statue of Eric. "Oh, Flounder," Ariel cried, "you're the best." Ariel had only a few moments to admire the statue before her father stormed in. He had found out that Ariel had been to the surface. He was furious. "Contact between the human world and the mer world is strictly forbidden," he scolded her. King Triton lifted his trident and took aim at the human objects. "Daddy, no!" Ariel cried. A golden ray shot out from the trident and destroyed a globe. Another blast shattered a candelabrum, then a painting and some books. Finally, Triton turned his trident on a statue, which exploded into pieces. Ariel burst into tears. Her father didn't seem to understand how important these things were to her. "Just go away," she said. Ariel was hurt that her father had destroyed her treasures. She knew he would never allow her to see Eric, so she decided to go see Ursula, the sea witch. Ursula made a bargain with the mermaid. She would give Ariel legs for 3 days. During that time, Ariel had to get Eric to fall in love with her. If he kissed her, she would remain human. But if not, she would turn back into a mermaid and belong to Ursula for the rest of her life. "You can't get something for nothing," the sea witch told her. "What I want from you is your voice." Ursula took Ariel's voice and put it in her shell necklace. The mermaid would have to get Eric to kiss her without even speaking to him. Now human, Ariel swam to the beach, and her friend Scuttle, the seagull, found a ship's sail and some rope and made her a dress. Soon Eric discovered her. "You seem very familiar to me," he said. "Have we met?" For a moment Eric thought she had rescued him from shipwreck, but then he realized she was unable to speak. "Then you couldn't be who I thought," he said, disappointed. But he took Ariel back to his castle anyway. She tried to adjust to the life on land, but everything was so strange. She combed her hair with a fork and accidentally blew soot all over Grimsby with a pipe. Eric couldn't help but laugh. Grimsby was glad to see the prince enjoying himself. "You know, Eric, perhaps our young guest might enjoy seeing some of the sights of the kingdom," he suggested. "It's not a bad idea." The prince turned to Ariel. "Well, what do you say? Would you like to join me on a tour of my kingdom tomorrow?" She nodded happily. It was like a dream come true. The next morning the two of them set off in the royal carriage. Ariel was thrilled. The world around her was so exciting and new. She and Eric stopped for a puppet show in town. Ariel got a new hat, 2 loaves of bread, boots, and some flowers. A few hours later, they climbed back into the carriage, and Eric had been driving a while. Ariel took the reins. She snapped them sharply, and then the horse took off. Ariel loved being human, and Eric was enchanted by her. That evening, from a rowboat in a quiet lagoon, Ariel and Eric watched the sunset. "I feel bad not knowing your name," Eric said. "Maybe I could guess." He started listing names. "Is it Mildred? Diana? Rachel?" Ariel shook her head. Then Sebastian, who was keeping a close eye on the king's daughter, went to the side of the rowboat and whispered her name into Eric's ear. "Ariel?" the prince asked. She nodded and took his hand. Eric leaned in. Ariel closed her eyes and... Splash! Eric and Ariel toppled into the water. Ursula had sent her pet eels to overturn the boat. The sea witch would do whatever she could to keep the two from kissing. "Whoa! Hang on! I've got you." Eric pulled Ariel back into the boat. The romantic moment had passed. That night, Eric heard a voice of the girl who'd rescued him. He went to find her, and soon he had. She was named Vanessa, but the girl was really Ursula in disguise. She was using Ariel's voice to trick the prince into falling in love with her. By the next morning, word spread around the kingdom. Eric was getting married to Vanessa. Ariel watched, heartbroken, as the wedding ship set sail. Not only would she never kiss Eric, but tonight he would marry another girl. Then her friends brought terrible news. They had discovered that Vanessa was really Ursula. Ariel knew she had to stop the wedding. She jumped into the water, but without her tail, she didn't know how to swim. Flounder pulled her along as she floated on some barrels. "Don't worry, Ariel," he said. "We're going to make it." Just as Ariel reached the ship, Scuttle pulled at the shell necklace holding her voice. It fell from Vanessa's neck and broke. Ariel's voice returned to her. "Eric," she asked. "Ariel," Eric said. "It was you all the time?" He moved toward her to give her a kiss. But it was too late. The sun set and Ariel became a mermaid again. Ursula pulled her into the water. "I lost her once. I'm not going to lose her again," Eric cried. He battled the powerful sea witch and destroyed her. Afterward, the prince lay on the shore, exhausted. Ariel watched him from afar. King Triton surfaced and looked at his daughter. He realized how much she loved the Prince Eric. Happily, he granted Ariel her greatest wish. He gave her legs so she could be human. Ariel was thrilled. She and Eric were married immediately, and when they kissed, it was a kiss of true love, joining them together forever and ever. The end.